Sparking Change with Gigi, a show that aims to make the world a better place by bringing together authentic minds. This show encourages each of us to be the change we wish to see in the world. Get ready to be inspired and join us on this journey to create a brighter future for all.
Welcome everyone to Sparking Change with Gigi, where real stories, real change, and real impact happens right here. Today's show is called The Spirit of Entrepreneurship, where women turn passion into powerful businesses. We're shining a light on a new kind of entrepreneurship, one that starts not in the boardroom, but in the heart. It's for the women who may not have an office space or overhead, but who carry bold dreams and unstoppable gifts. Joining me today is my dear friend Nikki, a passionate change maker on a mission to empower other business entrepreneurs. Welcome, Nikki.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm so happy to have you here. This is, my live studio, and it's such an honor to bring you on board to share your passion with the world.
I appreciate it. I mean, what a beautiful space, Gigi, for sparking change and inspiring women and the community.
Thank you. And that's exactly what you're doing. And that's why I have you here to really, share these beautiful gifts and your mission that you have to empower women to know that if they have a dream, they can make it. They can do it. And there's a way, there's a will, there's a way.
Always a way. There's always a way.
That's right. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get into this work and your mission?
Yes. I'm Nicole Sturomski. I go by Nikki, and I have such a passion for business, for wellness, and for the planet. And so I thought, why don't I put these three pillars together and create a nonprofit and highlight all of these strengths that are needed now more than ever before.
Absolutely. In a world, there's so much chaos going out there. There's so much uncertainty going out there.
There's so much chaos, so much uncertainty. And I realized that now's the time to go back in and rebuild and become strong so that we can show up for ourselves and for each other and our families better than ever.
Absolutely.
And create success.
Absolutely. And with the things that we really love to do, right? It's like we all have a passion for something, but sometimes we get stuck in feeling, unsecure, if it's the right thing, or we doubt ourselves. So how do you help women to kind of like see that, they have these beautiful gifts, and I know you have the platform for them to come, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, but how do you encourage women? Because you do, coach women to get into their businesses and flourish. So how do you do that?
Well, I always say, do what lights you up. If it brings joy, that's the right path. And I know women are so dynamic, so sometimes it's challenging to always find, what path am I supposed to take? Is this the right one for me? And I always say, well, every step is the right step. And it always brings some kind of wisdom and knowledge and strength for you to continue on your path, because it's not a narrow one, it's a broad path. And we bring a lot of people with us. So when I see that thing that lights you up, I say, oh, that's it.
Yeah. And there's a certain, like you said, go within, right? Because you feel, when you are certain that you're on the right path, you feel good. Right? There's a vibration, there's a, high energy where I believe that, it's the right thing. And of course, it's never a smooth road.
Never.
But we do get support. And this is where your organization comes in to really help women overcome those fears, right? Going out on their own and taking that leap of faith. And I know I've been in you started this beautiful thing at the food market on Sundays. Yes. Let's talk about that a little bit. I love it.
Yeah. So our first initiative was Women in Sustainability, and we invited small business owners to come and highlight their goods, their services, and we turned it into a farmer's market. So every Sunday in Mount Kisco, from 11 to 3, come on by. Yeah. We highlight a lot of women-owned businesses and all businesses, but women-owned farms, women makers, and crafters. and it turns into a beautiful celebration each Sunday.
Yes, I remember going there and we saw a lady who just started her baking, just started baking goods, right? Another one who did jewelry, another one who did soaps and skincare.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a place where it's a community that they're bringing services that people need. And what I love, it's all organic. It's organic. And we are dying for that because
So
it's
important.
how important it is for our health to stay healthy and, have real natural things in our home that can help us really feel better.
Yeah.
Right. So I love that. What inspired you to go into this?
Oh, that's a good question. I've struggled with my energy. I've struggled with my path. And when I realized, it's either a blessing or a lesson. And again, no step is the wrong step. And taking all of these tools and putting them in my tool belt, I said, if I'm learning this, I really want to share this with other women.
Yeah.
And also seeing the importance of women working together. Our ancestors, when there was a problem, they would come together in a circle and find a solution. And in the age of the iPhone and the and the Instagram, women feel like, I have to do this all myself. And I say, no, the solution is, no, we work together.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And, understanding how powerful it is when we do come together, the we impacts everyone. The I only impacts yourself. And I do believe that when we are thinking about each other, it's a ripple effect, right? It's a ripple effect. Somehow it will come back to us.
There's strength in numbers.
There's strength in numbers, absolutely. Yeah. And that is what your organization does, is brings together women. My recent experience, the International Women Night, it was absolutely fabulous. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I was in a theater and I promise you, it was like I was staring at the different music and the culture that came into play to just bring that harmonious gathering, like we belong together, right? And let's talk a little bit about that, because you do that every year.
We do that every year, March 8th, International Women's Day.
Yeah.
When I was little, growing up in school in Brooklyn, they would invite all these cultural performances, and that just blew my mind. It opened up my world, and it gives you so much inspiration and motivates you to bring out your gifts and your talents. So I said, let's bring that back, because everything starts to get too singular, like I was saying, but also I'm trying to search for the word.
Separation. Well, bring it together to oneness. Oneness is the right word.
And oneness
oneness. And that's exactly what I felt. I felt like I belong with every nationality that was there. Their music, I always say we cry from the same place. We laugh from the same place. Pain is the same for everybody, right? So and joy is the same for everyone. So when we do come together, and we feel that, it is so powerful that it transforms the inside of us. And that's the greatest thing, is that, when we come together, there's a transformative power that ignites within us, because we know we're not alone, and we're not meant to do anything alone. Whoever told us we were meant to do things alone, I don't know, but they were definitely not in the right path. For sure. But, and so this work that you do, I've been to many different events that you've had. Some of them are in the healing aspect. Can we talk about that a little bit? Because, part of becoming an entrepreneur is having confidence. But along the way, we had a lot of confidence when we were little, right? We could have jumped off the building, probably made it. But we were very daring. We did have a lot of confidence. And as we grew up, we kind of lost that. And I believe it's because we were so focused on comparing ourselves. Hey, who's got this better? And I want to be like her, and I want to be like this. And so there's a healing that I believe I had to go through it, where to build my confidence level is to go inward and ask the questions like, why can I not do that? What's stopping me? And really take an inventory of my own feelings and emotions. And hence I get into energy work. So, when I met you and I saw that was part of your program, that light me up even more because I know it's how we can grow into the best version of ourselves is we have to go back and kind of dig what's holding us back, what's stopping us.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's always a journey. And I like to think of the analogy of if you have an electric car and you want it to go further and faster, you don't accelerate, you take it and charge it, recharge. And so that rejuvenation, that recharge is so important. Our cup needs to be filled before we can share our energy with others. And so the healing aspect is so important, especially, in other cultures. You meditate, you exercise, in elementary school, they have group exercise and getting the circulation and the blood going, your heart healthy and your brain healthy all contributes to your success.
Absolutely.
And so this is a very important component that if you want success, that you also should be coming from a full place and a strong place.
And, I couldn't agree with you more because that really talks about self-care, right? And who has taught us to do self-care? Like that was never in my vocabulary until I got into this work and realized how important it is to fill up our cup first, for sure. Yeah. So what are some of the things that will help women to get into that aspect of self-care that you offer?
Yeah, there's a really nice exercise that's so simple and, it's just taking a moment, rubbing your fingers together and noticing how they feel. And instantly your awareness grows and you start to become aware, I have this little pain here. And how can I help myself? And when you start paying attention, then you start rebuilding yourself, rejuvenating yourself, and be able to get out into the world in a full place.
Absolutely.
Instead of, they say you're only as strong as your weakest link. And if you're not strong inside, then.
Yeah. So, and this is all being, part of, when you have a business, especially a women business, and you want to succeed so bad, you must take time for yourself. You must take that time to rejuvenate, like we said, and recharge. And that could mean like taking a walk, right? Simple walk. So that could mean journaling.
Yes, getting in touch with nature, feeling that natural frequency, natural vibration is just so restorative for us. It's right outside of our door. You don't have to buy fancy things or pay for fancy classes, but really utilizing nature.
And I'll share a secret. At 6:30 this morning, I put my sneakers on and I went out for a walk for an hour. And yes, and it does rejuvenate. You breathe in the fresh air and get ready for the day. And it's like you set the day. You set the intentions for the day. And, again, this is all knowledge that I recently came across that is so important to do. But, the masses, in the past, I used to get up, the alarm went off, go do this, go do that, run here, go over here, almost be out of gas. Like it was just 100 miles an hour. And I mean,
and use the excuse, I don't have time.
I heard that one before, for sure. And here's what I have to say is make time for you.
So important.
So important. And, for people who know me, I experienced breast cancer, and that happened because I did not take time for me. So it's so important to take the time, because we can do lots of things and we can wear lots of hats and we can feel proud of that. But deep inside, there's pain because we're not taking care of ourselves. So, your family needs you, and, having all those things are nothing compared to your life, right? Your life is so important. So we're going to take a short commercial break. I would love to show your mission and your passion so that everyone can really feel it from other women. So we'll be right back, everyone.
Women unite by strength.
Women unite by kindness. Through our struggles.
By compassion.
By empowerment.
Women unite by fierce passion and getting things done.
Together, we can build possibilities.
We can build each other up.
Change means creating a loving and caring environment and letting you know that someone has your back when you need it.
Women unite through community.
Women unite by connection.
Women unite by love.
At Women Unite, we empower women with the tools, education, and support they need to break barriers, embrace wellness, and build a brighter future for themselves and their families.
There's nothing
we can't accomplish
When women
unite.
unite.
Please visit us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Women Unite.
Welcome back, everyone. So you got a great glimpse of what passion Nikki has and building this beautiful community. Let's talk about, it's not easy what you're doing. It takes passion, it takes patience, it takes help, right, from others. But there's struggles, and a lot of women going into their own business are going to come across struggles. And so how can their faith be bigger than their fear? Because the struggles brings fear and uncertainties. And so, there may be women out there who would love to join you. What would you tell them if they are, struggling with the how, because I heard we don't really have to know the how. We just have to take that leap of faith and everything will be shown to us. But many people don't know that. So can you share some of that?
Sure. I think most importantly is slowing down and listening to your inner voice. And I'm learning there are two voices, right? There's our ego and there's our higher self. And who's leading? The ego is helpful for doing tasks, but it shouldn't be ruling you. It shouldn't turn into a judge and saying, oh, you're not strong enough, you're not confident enough, this isn't for you. That's the ego talking.
And that comes all from the mind.
Yes.
Right? The mind, the left side could be creative, the right side is giving you direction. But if you go into your heart, it's, I say we go from duality to, individually, to oneness, because your heart is not split, right? So when you're listening to your heart, it can only guide you in the right direction and trusting that.
Yeah. So taking a moment and sitting into your heart is the best way to navigate anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And sometimes it also helps where you get a friend and go over your process and your thoughts with a friend to share, what's coming in from your creative side. And maybe that person knows someone who can lead you. And that's kind of like what your group is all about, right? And your organization.
Always surround yourself with people that are smarter than you.
We heard that before, right? Because there is a saying that says you are defined or by the 5 people you hang around with the most. So it's pretty amazing how your mind can truly absorb most of the thinking of the people that are around you. So absolutely surround yourself with people who been there, done that, and are successful with it, because that can, give you that boost of positive direction, feeling confident that you're going that direction. Can you share with us a story of how you helped someone to do that?
Sure. Well, especially coming out of COVID, everyone was so isolated, and really Women Unite was birthed from COVID. As a lot of passion projects, I'm sure everyone out there is excited to talk about. But so bringing more awareness to empowerment and connection and community was just so needed at the time. And so, a lot of our feedback is changed my life, and, I feel confident on my path, and the community you create is just so inclusive.
Yes.
Are just some feedback that we've received. But also is, your vibration is really important, and either you're repelling or you're magnetic, and staying in a magnetic state is very challenging, especially with all the chaos that's happening around us. And, we fall into that fear-based belief, and then that fear-based frequency is a repel frequency. And so you're pushing away all of the potential beautiful gifts that are flowing toward you.
Yes.
And staying in that magnetic state is really important, and just done by lighting up your inner light,
inner spark. Absolutely.
Yes.
And I studied a lot about, you mentioned beliefs. And I once I started going into the personal development field, the subconscious mind is where all your beliefs are. So, and then 95% of what we do and how the decisions we make them from our beliefs, which are just things that we did over and over again, had a thought over and over again, or we were exposed to information over and over again, and then it became our belief, right? So examining the beliefs is crucial to help you get past the limiting ones, right? Because we have to really acknowledge what's holding us back from becoming an entrepreneur. And, you also mentioned during COVID, and I truly believe, because I was one of them who went online and said, okay, I want to learn. And I got into personal development. And a lot of people started a business during COVID. And I think the trend is still going. I think, coaching and entrepreneurship is rising tremendously because of so much uncertainty in the world, that a lot of people are saying, you know what, I'm going to venture into something that I have total control of, because today or tomorrow, we don't know what's going to happen out there. So becoming an entrepreneur used to be, it's the hardest thing to do. And I will say now it's probably the easiest thing to do if we get connected to the right communities, the right people who've done that and been there. Right?
It makes me think too of, when people have ideas and they want to be creative and start something, the plan is very important. The strategy is also very important. And sitting down and really clearly writing it out, because if you don't see it clearly with your mind's eye, it's going to be very difficult for it to manifest. And, manifest is such a trending word right now. There's a lot of clarity behind manifesting, and, it has to come from your heart first, but also your mind and your intuition, all have to line up, where if they're all on board, then the manifestation can happen. But if there's something resisting, and that could be, maybe you're not as healthy as you'd like to be, or maybe you're dealing with some kind of struggle or insecurity, well, that is not aligned, you know, inside. So it's going to be very difficult for that manifestation to happen.
Right. And you know, we know working harder is not the answer. You know, it's really finding out what is happening on the inside that's causing us to work harder, to identify, you know, what's going on in the heart, in the mind, to address it and move forward. Because I know there's a lot of dreams that are not being executed because of the past. Someone looking at maybe a failure that they had in the previous business versus it's okay. That was a learning lesson, right? Because you understand this is Earth School.
It's a very tough school.
Very tough school. Maybe the toughest one, right? But absolutely. And so everything that we encounter is a lesson.
That's right.
It's a lesson for us to just take and move forward.
That's right.
And if we can just look at it that way without saying we failed, because you can't fail. You only fail if you don't try.
That's right. And not stay in fear.
So building that confidence, I believe, is the number one key. And as a teacher, I used to say, if I can get my kids to feel confident, they can do anything.
That's right.
Right. So at the end of the day, it's understanding why are they not confident, and take baby steps. You don't have to take one big leap, but take steps in identifying what do you need that will help you to feel more confident. And the resources are out there. You know, we just, again, there's a will, there's a way, right?
Always.
And so building the confidence is crucial in whatever business we are going into. And not, you mentioned another thing that's very important is about listening to your inner voice. Let's talk about that, because we said it's either the ego talking to you or your heart talking to you. But which one are we listening to is crucial for your success.
And I get this question, well, I have these two voices. How do I know which one is which? And I'll say the one that's urgent, the one that's you have to do that. This isn't right. Well, that's your ego talking. But your heart always speaks very calmly and quietly. And so if you can quiet your mind and quiet your heart, you'll be able to hear the right voice that should push you forward.
And it's funny because I also learned that if there's too much noise going on, even in your head, that voice, you can't hear it. So it's so, we talked about meditation, and that's another practice that I, embrace every morning, because it leads me to understand, the direction that I need to take that morning. And I trust it now because I practice it so much that it becomes second nature.
Yeah, it's like a muscle. Yes. And the more you work it, the louder it becomes and the easier it is for you to listen.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and when you have that trust, and it's within yourself, right? We have to trust ourselves that we're doing the right thing. And if we're not, as long as you're not killing anybody, you're always doing the right thing. You're just learning from it.
That's
right. And so, and feel that it's okay to try something else, because when we do fail, it's only a indicator that that's not working. So it's not really a failing aspect of it. It's try another path.
That's right.
Try something else. Yeah. Right. So I love that. Can you share with us a story maybe of someone who maybe left and then came back because they thought it wasn't working?
Yes. We definitely, and I see it within myself, which is the struggle, right? If I work harder, if I do this, it's going to turn out like this. And then when it doesn't, then you think, oh, then this isn't right. But maybe you're not practicing that quietness and that listening, which is really important. And also the way society has designed us is to go out there by yourself and to push forward and work harder and be, and
do. And that's not correct.
Right.
It's we have to be.
Yes. And also working together, in a more as a community and rely on people's strengths to build something even bigger. So yes, we've had women who've struggled and said, oh, this isn't for me, but then have turned around and come back and said, no, well, why don't we work together on this?
Yeah.
And I mean, the things that come out of that are so powerful.
Absolutely. And that makes me think of when we're really tested. We are tested to see how passionate we are about whatever it is that we're going into. And that's really, I don't even call it a struggle. I call it a test. And if you can pass the test, meaning you keep going, you persevere, and you find a way to make it happen, that's just telling the universe, saying, hey, I love this. I want to do this no matter what.
That's right. And like I said, it's always the right path. If you feel strong enough, the universe will help you. And I feel like we make the mistake of always looking out and saying, well, is this the right way? Can someone tell me?
That's the big mistake, is that we're looking for validation from outside. I'm glad you point that out.
Yeah.
And really the only one that knows the right answer is you, is your heart. And if you get quiet, you can listen to your heart, because it will tell you if you're on the right path. Especially if your mission will impact others, there is no way it will be on the wrong path. Right? But if you're in it because the ego says we have to make money, we got to make money, it's all about money, well, then it's the wrong path, because you might make money, but it won't last. You won't get to keep it. That's what the universe says. Right. You can make money, but you won't get to keep it, because the intention was about the money versus the impact that you will have in other people's lives.
Yeah.
So
very important to put the heart first, and the money will come as a byproduct.
That's right.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, have fear.
Yes.
Fear of,
which is valid, especially in this day and age. Things are so expensive.
Right.
Everything's on the rise. People feel stressed.
But the fear holds you back.
That's right.
The fear doesn't open the doors that people may come in to help you with whatever passion you want to launch, right? So it's a valid fear, but recognizing it and let it take the back seat is so important, because it can take away your dream and your passion and whatever it is that you want to do in life.
Absolutely. And like you were saying, get out there, meet other people that are doing what you're doing or want to do, and learn from them. How did they become successful? What were the steps that they took? And follow what works.
I believe it was Tony Robbins who says success leaves clues, right? Let's follow the clues, because if they can do it, we can too. We're made of the same stuff. I always say that. We're made of the same stuff. Let's talk about maybe someone who has an idea. How would you guide them and come to you and say, Nikki, I saw your show, Sparking Change with Gigi. I'm really interested in starting to sell my crochet, things that I crochet.
Yeah. Well, always the first question is, does it light you up? Does it bring a smile to your face? Or are you just thinking about, can I make money from this? So you want to stop that right in the beginning.
And there's an energy. I will tell you, Nikki can identify that, because there is an energy when you say, I want to do this to bring my gifts to the world, versus I want to do this because I need to make money. Right. There's a certain energy with that.
Yes. Yeah. And then really build a plan. How much is it going to cost you to buy the needles and the crochet and the materials? And what certifications and permits are needed to sell, and what would be the best way that would suit your budget at the time, we have such big minds and big ideas, but, you have to start from square one and step by step build and let that gain momentum and snowball into a successful business.
Right.
So you can't say, well, I want to crochet for, the Knicks team.
You might get lucky. I mean, it may happen.
It would happen,
right?
But you have to snowball it first.
Yeah. Everyone has to start someplace, right? But nothing happens unless you take that first step to say, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And we're never really looking at what we want. And I think this is that entrepreneurship mindset is having that, I want to do this. Not only is it part of like, because if you feel it in your gut, it's probably meant for you.
100%.
Right. But thinking about, oh my goodness, I need money for rent. I need money for this. I need money for that. Though that's all the ego, believe it or not, trying to keep you safe in that, that environment that it's used to. Because once you go into entrepreneurship, it's an unknown space.
It's important to take that risk, that leap.
Yeah. And even though you don't know what's ahead, you don't have to know what's ahead. Just have the plan, because a plan can change
all the time.
Right? So there's nothing written in stone. I always say that. Nothing's written in stone. We can always change, but not to actually do it because you're not sure about something. You're stealing your dream from yourself.
And the other thing is, what's your stress like? Are you crocheting out of fear and stress? And is your nervous system overworked? Do you need to take a couple steps back and rejuvenate yourself? Practice meditation and do a yoga class, and aligning your body to your heart and your mind before taking that next step. So it's mindful and intentional, and not from a fear and a desperate place.
Yes. And this is another thing that when I got into personal development, I understand how important it is to have that body-mind connection, right? Hence, I am doing yoga right now because it does keep me in alignment.
Yeah.
And it balances me, that energy in the body and the mind, I need to, need to come together in a cohesive, loving way versus, the fear. Again, it's energy in the body that prevents us from kind of moving forward. So I love that. And your business, that's what it does. It encompasses not only the entrepreneurial side, but also the wellness side. To make sure that, we're filling up our cup, like we said.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the wellness things on the business side?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I wanted also to speak to, I just want to backpedal.
Yes.
Giving up, right? So someone gets a few steps ahead and then all of a sudden no one's responding, and then people say, oh, didn't work. I'm going to pivot. I'll change.
Right.
And really that is a terrible time to stop. And, because again, that momentum is happening, I think, even in the dark, you can't see that energy building. And, again, just like always dialing into, wait, this makes me happy.
I love what you said that about it's always happening even in the dark. And I'll use a great analogy. You plant a seed, you put it underground. You don't sit there and watch it every day. You go and do your thing, and underground, it's building everything it needs to bring up the beautiful flower or the plant.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you hear, if you don't make it in 2 years, that's it. You give yourself a time limit. And whenever you are nurturing something, right? I mean, as a mom, we have to give it 9 months, sometimes even 10, I've heard. But the truth of the matter is we need that time to develop, to nurture, to anything, to really grow to something spectacular.
Yes.
It will not happen overnight. I'm sorry, Rome wasn't built in a day.
That's right.
And neither will a business, right?
That's right.
So yes, and not giving up because you don't see results right away. I believe that's the universe testing you to see how much you really want it.
Yes.
And if you keep your passion alive,
yes, it will always succeed.
It has no way not to succeed, right? Not to. So yes, thank you for bringing that up because it is important. Because sometimes people just, and we're trained, or to have instant gratification, right? It's like we want something, we're going to go buy it. We want something, But even when another analogy that someone told me was really great is when you go to a restaurant and you place an order. You're not waiting for the waiter to come. You just go on with your conversation and finally your food comes out. So it's having the patience to understand that, the chef is out there making you a delicious meal, or the plant is taking its time to develop something beautiful.
And I love the analogy of the sun. When a plant is growing, the darkness has to be there in order for it to grow. If the sun was always shining on it, it would just dry up and die. And so when we're hovering and hoping and, pushing, you're not giving it time to develop and grow, taking a few steps back, working on yourself, and then allowing that idea and that creativity, that energy to continue to manifest. So it's a nice play between, the push and the pull and.
Yeah. And it's trusting. That's the key word, is trusting the process.
Yes.
I also believe, and again, through my studies, is that, we get a desire to do something, and that desire was actually a gift given to you.
Yes.
And so if you got the desire and you got that gift, it's trusting that you will receive whatever it is you need to make it happen. And therefore, that's the trust. And understand you wouldn't get the desire if it wasn't a way for you to get it. And I believe you get these desires because you have something, that you can share with the world, and you know how to do it best. And that's why it comes to you.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have gotten it otherwise. Right? Somebody else would have gotten, like the people who have a gift to sing.
Yeah.
You can take the singing to so many levels and trust that, you can go on stage and sing with whoever you want to sing with. Right?
Yeah.
It's just keep going and never giving up, for sure.
Yes.
So we have a few more minutes left. Let's touch on, bring it back to, if there was someone that has come to you, you led them down this path. And then we talked about wellness.
Yes.
Right? So what type of classes or things you offer in your program?
Yeah. So we have a women's wellness collective that's truly open for all people. And we focus, we bring in practitioners that are very passionate about sharing some kind of wellness modality. So it could be yoga, it could be a sound healing, it could be Reiki. There's so many different modalities out there that people are passionate about, and really bringing them in to share and giving our audience experience, because there's so many different kinds, and everyone's on their unique path, and what moves someone can help so many people that have never heard of this kind of practice. And so we have something called a curtain practice, which is sound and voice. And we're featuring that at Quantum Wellness in Mount Kisco on June 1st, on Sunday. So
beautiful.
If you visit our website, we have all of our information there. So the wellness part is really important, but also the community aspect of healing together is really important too.
we definitely carry a beautiful vibration when we are just together and healing and doing this kind of work and just being centered, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned sound and healing. And I've learned our words are powerful. The words that we speak really make a difference because the words do have sounds, right? And so the vibration of the word love or kindness, and when we speak these words and we practice them, it actually brings out a beautiful vibration around us, right? And, I can relate it to, when we, if you look at 9/11, right, we were all so sad. We felt that. Everybody felt, no matter where you were, you felt that impact. Now reverse that and bring everyone together to a celebration, right? Like International Women's Day or something like that. The vibration from that. So the sound from the music and the healing sounds truly help this world to where everybody feels it. Yeah. And we come together, hence community is so important. But talk to us a little bit about the sound.
Yeah. So like you're saying, the vibration is so important. Yeah. And there are universal sounds. Even when you go out in nature, the trees are vibrating at a sound. The earth vibrates at a sound. And having, using that in our language, I think it's so important for people to celebrate their little wins. Oh yeah. Even in your head saying, yay, when you say yay to yourself, and it could be a small win. It could be, I watered the plants today. Yay. Yeah. And when you hear that, you're changing the sound and vibration in your body and elevating your frequency and turning that into a magnetic state. So it is quite simple to do these small practices for big results.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny and it shifts the energy, right?
Changes the energy.
It changes the energy. And I just shared this past weekend, we went out for Mother's Day to my nephew's restaurant and it was somebody's birthday. And so, they come out, the music goes on to sing happy birthday, right? It was like everybody came from the dead. I don't know. It was so quiet, but then the music goes on to sing happy birthday and literally strangers were singing happy birthday. And the vibration in the room was like, it was a spark, lights up. Absolutely. Yeah. So I can.
So important. So be very mindful about not just the food that you're eating, but the sounds that you're listening to, what kind of music you're playing for yourself and television that you're watching.
Yes.
So important. This is all food for the soul.
Yes, absolutely. Because it just creates that vibration within us. Right? That can either lift us up or bring us down.
That's right.
And talking about that, like if you are in a low vibration, we talked about take a walk outside.
That will instantly change your vibration.
Put on music that you love. Yes. Right? All of that is so important this is where you become empowered. Right. So if you're working, even if you are owning, you own your own business right now and you feel a little bit down because you don't see the sales, I believe it's so important for us to change that vibration because the sales are not going to come if you're feeling low. That's right. They're going to come if you're feeling high energy and your mind is open to receive some creative ideas. So vibration really opens up the mind to receive those ideas that can help you really flourish.
Changing your mindset is so important. Yeah, with that vibration. Yeah. Just recently we were trying to solve a problem and we kept looking at it the same way and we should do it like this. No, it's not working. And then, taking a step back, changing the angle a little bit, changing the perspective. And then all of a sudden, the solution comes. It always comes.
Right. Right.
But you have to give it room, give it space, and like you said, keep yourself in a high vibration.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell us, what is your long vision for Women Unite?
I would love to grow grow to different states, grow globally, and continue this momentum that we're experiencing now, which is, this enlightenment, this grand enlightenment, and keep perpetuating that. I think it's really important, and not pay attention to the fear and the hate that, still exists, but the light will always win.
Oh, absolutely. I so love that. That's a beautiful way to end it for sure. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Nikki, for joining me today. And I hope you truly opened your heart to know that if you have a passion and you're ready to share it, contact Nikki. I'm sure she can help you to really start the ball rolling so that you can, be empowered to really take ownership of yourself. And it starts by really looking at what gifts you can bring to the world. So thank you everyone for joining us. Until next time, I'm your host, Giovanna Charterone, and this is Spark and Change with Gigi. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change with Gigi. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchangenow.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on